Hey everybody, welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we are talking the classic Tim Burton fake 1950s sci-fi movie, I guess. Mars Attacks, Independence Day, and almost every possible beat. Less action-y though, I guess, sort of. Just as ridiculous. I in fact kind of like this movie a whole lot. In the meantime, thanks for listening, subscribing. This is almost a mission briefing, but turned out not to be. So in the meantime, please rate, record, share, and join the Patreon, where there's, days worth of entertainment at this point. And thanks. Welcome to Myopia Movies. This week, we're talking Mars Attacks, the Batman reunion movie you never wanted. I'm host Nick Hoffmann, and on the panel we've got
Nora Trinette.
Hello, this is Daniel, frequent contributor to Pop Dose, and I have a special message for all of you.
And that's the last time someone is going to do this during that episode.
Yeah, that's right.
No, the fuck they're not.
And that was Jeremy criticizing me for my Martian language.
I love how you lean in to do that. I'm gonna have to clip that.
I figured I was going to have to clip it, but
no, clip down the volume. But yeah, so we're doing Tim Burton's 1996 movie, Mars Attacks, which the first thing we've got to say, opening credit sequence, inspired by the Topps trading card company game Mars Attacks.
well, what happened?
Interesting.
This is a card game that they interpreted.
It wasn't a game. What was going on in the 60s was they had a couple of they were kind of like baseball cards, and you had to collect them in order to get the quote-unquote full story.
Right.
This is based on that full story, and they would sell them for 5 cents with a stick of gum or whatever, but apparently people were so pissed off with how violent the cards were that Topps stopped printing them. So these days, if you've got an original deck of the full series, you'll make a killing on eBay.
And so this is in the vein then, and better than, that horrible Garbage Pail Kids movie.
Yes.
Because that's what this is. It's essentially just novelty cards people collected and made into a movie. Now, this has nothing to do with anything like that. It's essentially a parody of all those 1950s sci-fi, communists are aliens, therefore a strong-jawed American will save the day. And in this case, it's country music. God help us all.
Now, just speaking of opening scenes and stuff, the music and stuff, I was getting real Men in Black vibes to it. Is it the same?
100%.
Is it the same orchestra or whoever who did that? Because opening scene,
Danny Elfman did both. Yes, Danny Elfman did the scores for both, Jeremy said.
And I guess in that vein, Men in Black may be the most Tim Burton-y movie that wasn't Tim Burton. It has
Addams Family.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, except for that Addams
Same director, though.
Yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the new Addams Family animated movie?
No.
Mm-hmm. I did. It was good.
It's already getting a sequel this year.
Yeah. Which
I love that. I love that intellectual property that So the more that it comes out, that IP I'm fine with. And Oscar Isaac, whenever he gets a paycheck, I'm happy. So.
Is he the one who does Gomez in those movies?
Yep.
Yeah, he was. R.I.P. Raul Julia, who was still the best Gomez Adams, but still better than Sean Astin's dad, who is great. But Raul Julia, it's a shame that the only other movie we've done of his on this show is Street Fighter. Though Raul Julia is coming back because we're going to do the second Addams Family Values. Later this year. So don't worry, he's coming back to the podcast.
Well, in the meantime, we're talking about Mars Attacks today, which is a very weird movie.
Can I make a confession? This movie scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
Me too.
Those big-headed alien freak. Oh, dude, that scared
There were
the shit out of me. Skeletonized
yes.
people. This is also a strangely violent Tim Burton movie. I made the joke. I made the joke earlier that this is a Batman reunion because we have the Joker and the Penguin in this movie together.
Oh shit, that's right.
And Danny Elfman's back.
Michael Keaton was supposed to be the
president.
Well, he was supposed to be the the Las Vegas
developer.
And although I do
So
like
they just
Jack,
doubled down and gave Jack more money.
Well, what they did was the producers said, okay, you can't cast Jack Nicholson and kill him off. And so they're like, you know what? God damn it. I'm going to cast him and kill him off twice.
that's right. And I will say, you always get the feeling like, I can't imagine two more disparate people than Jack Nicholson, cocaine, drinking, those pictures, if you can find them of him shirtless on a boat in his like 70s, just like roasting with a beer. If I am that happy in my 70s, God bless it, right? Getting along with nerdy little Tim Burton. But this proves that they get along because he came back for his sequel. Like it's right? Like that's great. 7 years later, he came back to do your fucking movie. Like
I miss. I mean, what is he doing nowadays? He's
he
not
has dementia. He's not healthy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has dementia, but he hasn't acted since like 2011, and he's constantly turned down opportunities to come back. And I don't know.
I mean,
I think he's retired.
I mean, I get it. I mean, yeah, you made a lot of movies.
Well, and at this point, he was one of the last like big ones of the first wave of New Hollywood movement. He's essentially royalty. He's just going to show up to Lakers games until the day he dies.
The last thing I remember seeing him in was the SNL 40th anniversary.
When he came back,
yeah.
when he talked about political humor and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the last thing I saw him in. He's in that terrible Bucket List movie.
You know that Bucket List? Oh, it made me cry. Oh my god.
Oh, you know, it made me cry.
It was a buddy
But that
cop
doesn't mean it's a good movie.
It was a good movie.
The last good thing I saw him in was The Departed. He's great in The Departed.
Are you a co-op?
That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
I can't.
Oh, that's good.
Did he show his dick in that movie?
What's that?
Didn't he show his dick?
It was a dildo that he was faking
That's
in
right.
a porn theater.
Oh,
with-
good. And that's just good to know. I didn't actually see Jack Nicholson's dick in that.
No.
No.
Good for me.
I mean, yeah, good for you, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think he's been in anything literally since 2010. And he doesn't have to if he doesn't want to, but I thought he was not in good health. That was it.
Yeah.
I've heard many things. I've never heard a confirmation one way or the other.
But regardless, he plays president in this one. This is also, I was live tweeting this one, so I guess find that weeks later if you can. But it's an interesting movie in that it stinks to me of Independence Day, where there's like 7 different storylines for no reason. There's a huge cast for no reason. It's an alien destruction movie, and it's incredibly over the top. And so between those two, I think I'd rather rewatch Independence Day.
What this is basically, and
I agree.
Jeremy may be able to back me up here. It's Dr. Strangelove versus Failsafe. Back in the 60s, Failsafe came out. It had the same plot as Dr. Strangelove, which is that, Russia accidentally is going to get nuked. But that's played straight, and Dr. Strangelove is a comedy, right? That's kind of what Mars Attacks was supposed to be. It was supposed to be the Dr. Strangelove to Independence Day's Failsafe. But in the 90s, I guess, we'd gotten way more conservative and didn't want to see the U.S. get destroyed.
Yeah, we should mention, too, this movie was a weird flop. At first, Burton wanted $100 million to make this movie, which in 1996,
That was
holy
a lot of money.
And the original Martians were supposed to not be CG. They were supposed to be claymation, which is very Burton. But it would have cost too much money. And so they threw out all the claymation stuff and made it CG, which looked good enough.
I would like to hold better than CG.
I want them to put out like a nice polished re-release because this is 96. So we're at the 35th anniversary. It'd be great. But I want to see some of that old footage because Tim Burton, that's what he's known for. Like he has some really cool old like claymation shorts, like his old Frankenweenie stuff, which is now Disney, so you can see his old shorts.
So like Vincent and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. I want to see that stuff.
I think there are a couple of stop motion models in here. And at least I know they were built because I checked on the IMDb. And some up-and-coming comedian who's known for his props decided to reuse the eyes of the Martians for one of his props.
No kidding.
Guess who?
Carrot Top?
No.
No, really.
Tom Jones.
No.
Jeff Dunham.
Jeff Dunham.
No kidding.
As that skeleton Arab guy.
Oh God, is it Akbar? It's something racist.
Yeah, it's something racist. But
Something the dead terrorist.
Akbar the dead terrorist.
There you go.
The puppet's eyes are from a Mars Attacks model.
That is both wonderful and horrible. Jeff Dunham is just the worst.
Fun trivia. Do you know this movie actually has close ties to Kim Kardashian?
Ray J.
Ray J is in this movie.
He is in this movie as one of Pam Grier's children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the way you know this was a flop, more people saw the sex tape.
That's true.
Exactly.
Also, I mean, young Jack Black in this.
Right.
And I was like, is that
Slim
Jordan Baker's kid? Jack Black. Great dad casting, by the way.
Natalie Portman only
Yeah,
a couple of years after The Professional is in this.
Yeah.
Quite close. He's in this movie.
Pussy Posse's own Lucas Haas is in this, and Pam Grier the year before Jackie Brown, which is 97, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, if you told me she was filming this and then on the weekend she made Jackie Brown, because that was the story with, I think, Sammy L and Sphere. Like, he was filming Sphere during the week, and on the weekends he would do Jackie Brown, which, better movie.
AK-47 for when you absolutely, positively have to kill every motherfucker in the room.
Those scenes with him and Robert De Niro just smoking pot on the couch.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a totally great, like, Saturday afternoon scene. I love it.
Another fun thing, I think Bridget Fonda was in Jackie Brown, and she later retired after she married a composer to this movie, Danny Elfman.
It's all coming together.
There you go.
So we can kind of go through the cast, because the problem is, again,
Well, the plot, first and foremost, is relatively simple. Mars attacks.
Yes.
As in, they send a bunch of warships to Earth, and at first the president, I forget his name.
James Dale, President Dale.
President Dale, that's Jack Nicholson, tries to dismiss any suggestion that they are hostile, but they clearly are, and his inaction leads to a whole bunch of destruction. First, in that desert outside of Vegas, Pahrump.
Yeah,
They
Pahrump.
first meet the aliens.
Yeah, and then
Well, my favorite scene leading up to that was the general that's in charge of, being the liaisons to meet the aliens. He gets a call on his wife, and he's all hard or whatever. And his wife calls him, and he was like, "You see, honey, if I just shut up and not do anything, things will happen. Okay, love you." And
the Colin Powell equivalent.
It was 96. I mean, Colin Powell was...
Yeah, Colin Powell was definitely a well-known general by that point.
True.
I'm trying to remember the actor's name. It was the guy who played Lieutenant Traxler in The Terminator.
Yes. Oh, God, I had his name pulled up, and now I've lost it. I'm so bad with this. This is why it's Rod Steiger you're talking about, right? The guy who plays the bald general who keeps telling him to nuke everything?
Yeah.
Rod Steiger's different. That's the guy from In the Heat of the Night who was like the Southern Sheriff. This is the Colin Powell equivalent.
Oh, right. You're talking about
General
Tom Jones.
Casey.
Oh, yes. Tom Jones is in this movie, too. It's Paul Winfield.
Doing what
That's
Tom Jones does best. Being Tom Jones.
That's right. I can fly a plane. Sure.
There's some aliens back there.
There's a Martian right behind me. Anyway, everything goes wrong, and a whole bunch of the main characters die from Martian ray guns. And you know what? That's really all you need to know about the plot. The important thing isn't the plot. The important thing about this movie is the tone.
And the fact that country music saves.
Saves the day.
I'm calling you. That I think that's Slim Whitman.
Yes, I think that's who she's listening to. She listens to a bunch of old country. It's the yodeling that kills them, which...
By the way, that's the same actress from Beetlejuice as the caretaker.
Yes, it is.
We're kind of all over the place, but
Yeah,
I mean, the problem is this movie is, of course, a linear narrative, but there's so many little storylines going together that it's kind of hard to keep track. So like the cold open is kind of a scene in the White House. We see the giant pasties flying in that are these spaceships, and
well, the movie starts off very racist, by the way, if you not noticed.
Please.
An old farmer comes up to a Filipino, and let me know this because he says, "Hey, you having some Filipino barbecue? I smell that." He's like, "That's not for me." And you see a herd of cows on fire going down the street.
That's right.
And then these flying saucers come out.
And then we have we cut to the White House where they're describing these whatever's going on.
We got to mention his cabinet. Was his
a science officer played by Pierce Brosnan.
That's right, James Bond.
James Brown.
James Bond.
Oh, dude. At this point, James Brown might as well show up.
Yeah, he could have been insane in Vegas.
I don't know if he was in Vegas at the time, but damn it, Jim Brown, of course, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was Tom Jones and James Brown punching aliens,
that would be amazing.
I mean, come on.
They never really introduced his cabinet. It's all generals and a couple of advisors.
We're talking Vegas in the 90s. Gallagher should be there with a giant hammer, just curse splat. Like, aliens curse splat.
Excuse me, we're talking Vegas in the 90s, not Bronson. Not Bronson in the 90s.
So it's Carrot Top instead. Strangely erotically ripped Carrot Top.
We also have Martin Short doing his very best David Spade impression.
And specifically, he's, I think, doing a George Stephanopoulos, Clinton's first term, the little guy, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can
Real human being, George Stephanopoulos.
Right. He was addicted to prostitutes.
Which I don't know about George Stephanopoulos, but this guy is.
Well, if it was in Clinton's cabinet, could have been.
Sure.
Could have been.
And then we get his wife, who's Glenn Close, who's clearly, she's meant to be a spoof Nancy Reagan, but in today's terms, she's clearly Melania.
She is.
Yeah.
And she's redecorating everything. We have their daughter, played by Natalie Portman.
Tammy.
Who they keep calling Taffy throughout this whole thing, which is something.
Oh, that might have been her actual name, Taffy. Jeremy.
Yeah, it was Taffy.
It was Taffy. Okay, I thought they gave her a human name, but apparently her name is Taffy.
Her name is Taffy. And we have the scene where, thanks to Science Officer
James Bond,
Science Officer Bond, they develop a translator, which is a running joke throughout the rest of this because they keep saying that they're peaceful, which they're clearly not. And they land in Pahrump, Nevada.
Before that happens,
so much happens.
Yeah.
No, I guess we get introduced to actually my favorite character, Sarah Jessica Parker, as this 70s-ish reporter who is in a relationship, I think married, with Michael J. Fox's character,
Stone,
which is a reporter that's always a beat down.
And the joke is that he's on CNN, but no one cares because she has a fun talk show where she pretends to be half psychic.
Yeah, and because this movie is supposed to look like it's the 50s or 60s, she's wearing a go-go dress the entire time.
That's right.
With a chihuahua next to her.
We're introduced to Jodan Baker, whose son is Private Billy Glenn Norris.
That's Jack Black.
Who's Jack Black.
And his wife, Olan Jones, from Edward Scissorhands, among many things.
And then Loser Brother, who's played by Lucas Haas.
And Grandma, who was Sylvia Sidney.
That's right.
Who's Lucas Haas? Have I seen him in anything?
Lucas Haas was a Leonardo DiCaprio hanging around for a long time. He's been in 1,000 things, and not very good at most of them.
He was the main villain in that indie movie Brick, if you remember that, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
No.
I mean, you're right. He's also plays himself in Zoolander. I mean, he's just a dude that showed up in a bunch of stuff. Because again, like, they were the young, sexy people in like late 80s, early 90s Hollywood. So it was him, Tobey Maguire, Leonardo DiCaprio. Was it Chris Angel? It was like the Chris Angel.
That's awesome.
There's a group called the Pussy Posse. That's what they call themselves.
The Pussy Posse. God, these white kids.
I know, they're awful. They made a movie about them called Don's Plum, which is terrible.
Was that the?
It wasn't about them, but it has Tobey Maguire and DiCaprio in it. And
there was
Lucas
a movie where Michael Cera was sort of spoofing the underground Hollywood poker, where he played Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently, Tobey Maguire is a big dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not in terms of Pussy Posse, but in terms of just his personality. He's apparently not pleasant.
I can see that. No.
It's a shame. You wish you'd be a better actor then. Ethan Suplee, David Blaine is who I'm thinking of. That's the magician. David Blaine was in their group.
Well, yeah, Lucas Haas was certainly in that group, but he's just, even though he's one of the survivors, spoiler, he just kind of a non-presence in this movie.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, no, there we also get introduced to Jack Nicholson's other character, which is the developer for the which is coincidentally the UFO.
Yeah.
Hotel.
Yeah, it's the Galaxy.
The Galaxy with his wife, who has been, doing so great, not being an alcoholic for 3 months, and he's just chugging away with his whiskey sour when he's just drinking away. And also get introduced to Jim Brown's character, which is a former heavyweight champion that's reduced down to King Hut, Pharaoh Hut. Is that right?
Yeah, they're at a fake casino that is Egyptian themed.
Yeah.
Jim Brown truly gave his life in the name of tourism.
That's right.
Anyway,
I see what you did there.
Nicholson's wife in Vegas is Annette Bening.
Who plays this kind of, again, character that shows up in Independence Day. The hippies who think that the aliens are there for peaceful purposes, like that stripper who ends up on the roof of the building in LA that gets nuked. Vivica A. Fox's friend.
Yeah.
Holding up the sign that says "Welcome Alien, Welcome ET." Stupid city. All these are. This is all so stupid. But whatever.
There's a lot of stories. Subplots.
That's what I'm saying. We also are introduced at this point to Dan DeVito, who's drunkenly gambling in
He's
the
only
casino.
in 2 scenes in this movie.
Right.
That first scene, 3 scenes. That first scene when he's introduced, the second's like, "What's going on here?" And then, spoiler alert.
And he wants an autograph from Byron, Jim Brown's character.
Yeah.
No, I saw you lose at the.
No, he wants an autograph from Tom Jones.
He does.
Anybody? It ain't unusual. Anybody got a pen?
I think Tom Jones is the best character in this movie.
He knows. He's the only one who knows what he's doing.
I think he plays himself well.
Well,
Right?
I mean, throughout all of this, I mean, the movie really only takes place in 2 locations. One is DC, the other is Vegas, right?
Outer space.
Oh, of
Come on,
course,
man.
and those scenes in outer space. But, I mean, what am I trying to say here?
Nothing.
You couldn't copy the scale of Independence Day for the budget that Burton had, which was still a big budget. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Independence Day cost closer to $100 million than this did. But on the one hand, it's good they didn't try because they would have failed. But on the other hand, Dr. Strangelove didn't need to really match what Failsafe was doing. It managed to copy what it was doing effectively and be a comedy. And this, it kind of sort of just doesn't get to the same scale that Independence Day does.
Well, it doesn't have to. It's a comedy. I mean, Independence Day turns out to be funny at times, but I think this is actually playing just a straight kind of black comedy. I mean, which is fine. It is what it is. We should talk about some of these scenes now. I mean, the cast is massive and mostly unnecessary, but the first scene that I can really think of is the one in Nevada, right?
Right.
With
Aliens, yeah.
I will say that is a joke, by the way. Pahrump, Nevada is where Art Bell lives.
Who?
Well, didn't he die?
Well, yes, but not in 1996.
Okay.
Art Bell was the conspiracy guy on AM Coast to Coast that would talk about Bigfoot on his radio program.
Like Sean Hannity or Alex Jones?
More
Alex
Alex Jones,
Gotcha.
less racist. So
That's
people
nice.
would call in with like, I saw Bigfoot, or I used to work at Area 51. Like, that's his bread and butter. And so they said it in his town as a homage to the fact that, he's killing himself with
There
cigarettes.
was this one clip you can find on YouTube of some guy who called into Art Bell's show, crying, going, "I used to work at Area 51 and I found out what they were. They're not aliens. They're interdimensional beings that everything's being covered up. And oh God, they're after me." And then apparently, according to Art Bell, the power randomly
Fluctuated.
at the station, and then they lost the call.
Yeah, no, and Art Bell's the one you want to listen to if you're into that stuff because, again, it's not horrible Alex Jones racism nonsense. It's just crazy.
You want to know something, Nicholas? I'm twice the person Art Bell was.
Alex Jones talking about eating
I mean,
butts.
physically, yeah.
Yes, he is. But yeah, he I think died about 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, but
But yeah, I mean that's the name of the game. That's the joke that they're making. The aliens come down. They are...
Folks, I just want to go ahead and say these Martians, they're not really Martians. They're part of the deep state that exists just solely to destroy American and American values.
You know, Alex Jones wanted to eat his neighbor's kids and start with
Yes, eat their ass.
This was 2 weeks after the pandemic started.
That's right.
What did he want to do?
He essentially said, I will eat my neighbors if we run out of food. I will eat my neighbors. I will literally bite down on their asses. And you're just like, okay. Art Bell died in 2018.
Yeah.
You think I didn't eat my neighbors, Nicolas? I totally ate them.
You do.
Medium. My neighbors were best served medium. Someone asked for well done. I asked them to leave.
He's rolling.
You do very impressive, Alex Jones.
Yeah, that's something.
I'm gonna call you when I need to. I'm gonna fake call someone, be like, "Hey, I got Alex Jones online. Hey, can you back me up here?" Anyways.
By the way, he appeared in a movie which people have asked me to do, which we have not done yet.
What movie?
I Know Who Killed Me, the Lindsay Lohan movie. He appears as himself, explaining how sometimes twins feel the same thing.
He was also he was in a couple Richard Linklater movies because he's based in Austin, and that was a whole kooky thing. But
so was Alex Jones.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about actually Art Bell appears in I Know Who Killed Me. But yeah, he also appeared on the Peter Jennings Reporting UFOs special because that's Art Bell. That is his bread and butter.
Anyway, during the desert scene in Mars Attacks, when they initially land, they come out. General Casey, that's Paul Winfield's
Colin Powell.
Yeah, ex-V of Colin Powell is there to greet them, and some hippie releases a dove into the air.
Fucking dove.
Yeah, the Martians don't like that, so they shoot the dove and then start shooting everyone there.
And vaporize them, and at that point the hippie chick Annette Bening realizes that they're evil. Also, Art Bell appears on Tool's album Lateralis.
So do you think if they didn't release that
also an album by The Faceless?
That's
So,
true.
Same clip.
Great clip.
just as a movie plot hole, do you think if they didn't release the bird, nothing would should have happened?
No, they were evil from the beginning.
Yeah,
Oh,
they clearly were.
Got you. I just love that in the scene where they in Congress there was like no pawing, no birds.
Yeah.
I will say that is a line that I remember to this day, where they invite, the aliens are super sorry, Bob. They're the most sorry an alien could be. They promise they're peaceful. They want to address Congress now.
Let's rewind for just a second.
Whoa, give me my line just for a second. He vaporizes Congress, and Jack Nicholson gets the line, I just want the American people to know that we still have 2 out of 3 branches of government working,
And
that ain't bad. And 20 years, I haven't seen this movie in 20 some odd years. That line, I remember that chef's kiss perfectly. That is really good.
Before that happens,
So much of the movie happens, but
during the Nevada scene, Jack Black dies, Michael J. Fox dies, Sarah Jessica Parker gets captured, Paul Winfield dies.
She gets lucky. Essentially, GNN is there, and this Good Morning America nonsense that she does is there. Hi, Scott. And,
It's like,
and
fuck
he's
off.
trying to be super serious about all this. He gets vaporized pretty early on. Her truck gets knocked over, and she's kind of protected, and her chihuahua are saved, and the aliens take her, the Martians take her to do experiments on her. Jack Black dies holding the flag on national TV.
As he surrenders.
And his parents are super proud, and then they start arming themselves.
That's how you do it.
One of the best visual gags is during this scene where the president's watching on some 1960s TV, and they're watching, I guess, Sarah Jessica Parker's coverage, and she's describing what happens, but they never cut over to what's happening at the spaceship. So she's like
a tongue.
the ramp is coming out like a giant tongue.
And it does, and it unfurls. Yeah. But I will
say that, but nobody on TV says that.
But I also think it's funny that the world could be watching the real news. GNN is literally right there. Which, by the way, that's another Tim Burton joke, because GNN is Gotham News Network in the 2 Batman movies.
Yep.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So GNN shows up, and no one's watching them. Instead, they're watching Good Morning America nonsense, which is just so good. This movie, I mean, this is, for those of you who are curious at home,
our second of 4 movies we're going to record today. Both were huge financial flops so far. And this was a financial disaster. I think of the $75 million it cost, it only made back $38 million. Something crazy like that. It'd be great if another Spielberg movie was what destroyed.
Well, Jeremy, I mean, we haven't heard from you in a while. What tell us what happens after the Nevada scene.
That's a good question. Like, I watched this last night and I'm trying to piece things together, but so much of it is unnecessary. Like Nick said before, there are all these storylines that, like, it just goes back and forth between most of them and none of them really matter.
See, I would agree with you if it never paid off or anything, but in this case, it did pay off and do something, even if the characters, died.
I mean,
violent deaths.
The Las Vegas developer could have got that. And I hate to say this, Jim Brown and Pam Grier could have got that.
Oh.
Well, no, I mean...
No, because without his characters, his kids wouldn't protect the president in the one plot.
Well, no.
They could have stayed with just the kids.
Yeah, so the kids, we have future porn star Ray J.
Yes.
Also basketball player? No, rapper.
Oh, Ray J?
Yeah.
He's a musician.
Okay.
Yeah.
We see them.
And if you watch YouTube, the creator of Raycon earbuds.
That's true. Which I have owned, and they're fine. They're cutting class by playing Raycon. If you want to sponsor us, I really did like your Raycons until they exploded.
Yeah, I cut that out.
Ray J, I remember your music back in the day. It was fine.
I mean, I saw your first music video. It could have used work. Better Foley effects.
Ray J's not going to sponsor us, is he?
No, he's not. But they're cutting class to play video games. What I would guess is a ripoff of Area 51, where they're just shooting an alien slowly into chunks like it's RoboCop.
I remember that game.
Area 51 was, first of all, the greatest game that's ever been made.
I wouldn't go that.
It's the greatest arcade game.
It was a good arcade game.
It's one of those ones where you have like a red plastic gun and a blue plastic gun, and you're shooting aliens that are coming down from the sky. You shoot power-ups and shoot them up.
Nicolas, they're called light guns.
And it's a rail shooter. It's a rail shooter game. And it's the one that I sunk, that and the propaganda game, Police Trainer. I probably sunk the most money into when I was a kid.
Oh, Virtual Cop?
No, the one where you're doing like shooting games. It's whatever.
Okay.
It's called Police Trainer. But their mom, Pam Grier, sees the game.
Stops the bus. She works as a bus driver, yes.
And pulls the kid like, you're skipping class, blah, blah, blah. And they're waiting for their dad to come home, who is Jim Brown, who is in Vegas. And he's supposed to visit them this weekend.
He and his wife are divorced, but he still sends money back to his family.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's the Will Smith plotline from Independence Day, because all he's trying to do is get back to his family, right?
That's true.
Well, I mean, after the Nevada shootout, a couple things happen. First, Rod Steiger wants to declare war. Pierce Brosnan's like going, this is a cultural misunderstanding, which apparently Natalie Portman kind of agrees with. And they send out a message to the Martians. They're basically like, we're sorry if there was a misunderstanding during our meeting, and the Martians fake that, oh, we feel terrible. We want to address Congress.
That's right. And so they decide to, first of all, specifically attack the United States, and then we apparently don't tell anyone about this, which is weird, because the French still go through with it days later. Remember that at the end?
Yeah. That is director, and Jeremy can back me up on the pronunciation here. Babette Schroeder, the guy who did Single White Female.
Yep.
Yeah.
As the French president.
Marcel, or whatever he calls
Maurice.
Maurice, get out of there. Anyway. But yeah, for some reason, even though I would assume it's international news that Congress was vaporized by aliens, no one else seems to know, and everyone else around the world falls for it, presumably. But whatever. They start giving a speech in Congress, which apparently, if the IMDb trivia is to be believed, it's just a gag. The aaackkkkk, they just put in the script because they're like, we'll figure out what the aliens sound like later. And the executive producer goes, yeah, that's the end of the budget, man. We'll just figure it out.
Just go in this microphone and just make some noises.
Nick, I have to tell you, you mispronounced that. It's not aaackkkkk.
I'll say it again.
I mean, it's good. I'm not going to lie. It's not
in peace.
And also, I would imagine made it much easier to animate in CG when all you're going is
Well, they have no cheeks.
They have no cheeks or eyelids. I don't think they blink once in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Well, we do get an inside of the alien ship when they do have Sarah Jessica Parker character.
Dude.
Where they do Rainbow Field. Yeah. So essentially, which is one of, not my favorite scene, but just one of the most scenes that really stood out to me was when, they detached Sarah Jessica Parker's head.
They do.
Replace it with the dog. And but they use, I guess, one of the aliens do have a Playboy. And they use it to their advantage to come down to the Earth to try and kill the president.
Yep.
By going to Martin Short's character, who has a prostitution problem. He has a sex addict.
That's a very polite way to say a prostitution problem.
I mean, it doesn't mean they're working and he's taking advantage of. I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a comedy. It's an
By the way, in case you're curious, the woman Lisa Marie who plays it is Tim Burton's girlfriend at the time.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And
the one who's just floating around with
the one who's just.
She was also a vampira in Ed Wood.
She was, and the woman who plays Jonah Baker's wife was Jack Nicholson's girlfriend at the time as well.
Hold on, Jones dated Jack Nicholson?
I believe so.
No, you're fucking with me.
I apologize. No, Jonah Baker's wife.
Oh, Jonah Baker.
Jonah Baker's wife.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But yeah, so Lisa Marie plays this Martian woman who's got this huge kind of bouffant hair. And a dress without buttons or zippers, looks very robotic, alien-y. Apparently, she had to be sewn into it because it has no buttons, so every day they filmed it. Anyway, Martin Short, who's playing George Stephanopoulos, comes up to this woman and is like,
you want a date?
You want a date? Whatever.
Works really hard. That's his pickup line of prostitutes.
Yeah.
And on top of that, she doesn't say a word, and he's just like, "Oh, you're the best," which is it's Martin Short. He's the worst.
I love Martin Short.
No, his character is the worst. Okay. Martin Short is very funny. He's just not given a lot of good material here, but he's taking that material for a walk. He then takes it to the Eisenhower fuck dungeon. No, it's Kennedy. Very specifically Kennedy fuck dungeon.
This the Kennedy room.
No other president has ever had sex once. It's always the Kennedy. Was it My Fellow Americans where they make a Kennedy sex tunnel joke too? No one else has seen My Fellow Americans.
Jerry came out.
Okay, fine. I'm not. I guess I have to watch something else other than the election or whatever the.
You mean Election with Reese Witherspoon?
No, the one with Will Ferrell and
the campaign.
Yeah, the campaign.
Punch the baby.
What's that?
He punched a baby in that movie.
He punches the hell out of the baby.
The CGI baby's
Which is even better than what Martin Short gets in this movie, which is the alien biting his finger off, spitting it into a fish tank, and then
I do remember
beating his head.
At which point, she seductively goes into the president's bedroom.
That's a weird thing about this movie in terms of the Martians, because first and foremost, there's a way-dated transphobe joke earlier in the movie.
Sure there is.
Do the Martians have two sexes like we do? That whole bit. And
well, I also love, because it is also a scene from, I don't know which came first, the episode of The Simpsons that had the X-Files on it. It must have come later.
Oh, I think around the same time.
But it's just because that's the same thing. Homer's like, I will answer any questions about the aliens. Any questions at all. Are the aliens made out of carbon or silicon? The second one, silicon. But again, it's Pierce Brosnan answering questions about the aliens that he would have no idea what the answer is. Because we do get a great, very Jonathan Frakes in the 90s alien autopsy scene later on. But that hasn't happened yet. We have no idea what's going on
By
yet.
the way, Pierce Brosnan is kidnapped by the Martians during the scene where they blow up Congress.
Mm-hmm. And he's so upset that he's wrong that they're peaceful.
Yeah.
Which is really
Shut the fuck up, dude. You're wrong.
Yeah. It wasn't that he was upset that he was wrong. It's just that he didn't understand what they were doing.
Because an advanced race shouldn't be violent, but
they've advanced past violence, which bullshit, which is funny.
So anyway, we were talking about the scene where the assassin, who is disguised as the supermodel, sneaks into the Lincoln bedroom and first and foremost kills their golden retriever, which that was the worst scene.
But the dog saves the day, right? That's the whole. And you're right. I hate seeing a dog die in movies. Although in a movie like this, it feels very different than a movie that matters. Like in Homeward Bound, where the dog is a character, and then you see the old dog almost not maybe.
Michael J. Fox is also in that movie.
I was going to say full circle. But here, the golden retriever barks and then is vaporized. I do kind of love the vaporizing effect.
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say it's campy as hell.
It works.
But it's making fun of the 50s sci-fi, which is campy as hell. The only way you could have made it more on the nose, this might be just for you two, but if Leslie Nielsen played the old general, because he's in that Forbidden Planet movie as this same steel-jawed American so-and-so who's going to save the day.
I like Rod Steiger. Is that Rod Steiger?
Rod Steiger, which is fine, or Steiger, which is fine, but put Leslie Nielsen in the background somewhere, because just you have so many cameos anyway, who gives a shit? But bring back some of those old actors. You practically do it. The spaceships almost look like the ones from the Day the Earth Stood Still. I'm sure there's a movie from the 50s called Attack of the Flying Saucers that these are actually based on, because that seems like something Tim Burton would just watch at his house. But anyway, these plots kind of start. The only plot that matters is the president's plot, really.
Yeah, I mean, after the assassin tries to get into their bedroom, she takes the president hostage, but then is distracted by a canary.
A bird,
which she kills. I will also say that after she bites off Martin Short's finger, he tears away part of her face, and it looks very
the mask that she was wearing.
Well, kind of, because it's a robotic head on top of an alien. So you see what looks like a Terminator 2 kind of reveal.
Oh,
right,
yeah,
right, because it's the metal teeth, the metal jaw. And then eventually, when they shoot it, the head falls off, and there's just a regular alien underneath.
Well, I don't remember it playing out that way. I remember it being a mask that eventually the alien pulls off, and it's just a regular Martian head, and then they shoot. Secret Service shoots it in the brain.
Something about the hair or whatever, and it can't survive because the gum that the
it's pure
nitrogen because aliens don't survive.
Highly concentrated.
Yeah.
Good for making your cargo fast, though.
That's right.
Yeah.
See Fast and the Furious.
That and family.
Yep.
Makes your cargo faster.
And Coronis. A few Coronis in here. But yeah, I mean, at this point, also Glenn Close dies because the Nancy Reagan chandelier falls and crushes her.
Well, that happens in the
later
next in the movie.
That happens in the next scene because the Martians launch a full-scale invasion after their chief assassin dies or whatever, and they're trying to get Jack Nicholson to safety, and
and there's a tour going on, at which point Pam Grier's kids are on the tour. They grab the ray guns from the aliens, and they're shooting them because, like snakes on a plane, because in a video game you're good at something, now you can do it in real life.
Mm-hmm. And they act as Secret Service a month. They're telling them what to do. What are you guys doing? I'm like, you have no idea what your future is going to store for you, Ray J.
So much possibility. It also, by the way, reminds me of in Independence Day when we're introduced to the little dough-headed kid, right? He's wearing his hat backwards with a ray gun shooting at aliens on the TV.
Not on the TV, but Will Smith confronts him. It's like, what have you been doing? Shooting aliens.
That's right. So it all comes together. You know who was the first in line to see Independence Day that summer? Tim Burton wearing all black. That was the same year, right?
Yeah, it was the same year.
God help us.
I mean,
it's a real deep impact Armageddon situation.
Well, I mean, another thing about those kids is they're the first competent fighters against the Martians we've seen.
Yeah, they're not afraid of them. Actually, the better joke would have been Volcano versus Dante's Peak, since Pierce Brosnan is in Dante's Peak, the worst of the two.
I still think Dante's Peak is better.
Volcano?
No way.
No, dude, for the death alone, where the guy is melting into the lava on the subway, John Carroll Lynch's death in Volcano.
Yeah,
not the grandma's death in Dante's Peak, where she saves everyone by.
I was so glad she died.
Yeah, it's all her fault.
My favorite
but John John Carroll Lynch melting after he saves the guy. He lands in the lava and throws him and melts with one finger in the air.
I favor Tommy Lee Jones and Don Chino, so let's go Volcano.
That's true. Check.
Check.
That's up there with Richard Schiff being killed in Lost World, where he's torn apart with the T-Rexes. Like, John Carroll Lynch's death. My God.
What about the guy from The Thing was in Dante's Peak? And
Dante's Peak is a fine picture. But if you want class, no, if you don't want class, you want a summer blockbuster, you go to Volcano every time. I'm telling you.
We're not going to draw this line in the sand here because we're talking about a Martian invasion of DC, New Delhi, Easter Island, and Las Vegas.
They do bowl on Easter Island. I will say all of those movies we just mentioned are previous episodes except for Deep Impact. Have we done Deep Impact?
We did Deep Impact.
Okay, so all 4 of them we have done now. Oh, I'm tired. And we've done Independence Day and Independence Day Resurgence. 300 some odd episodes. So yes, they take a giant boulder, they bowl down the Easter Island statues. Around now, we're in the, I guess, speaking of Dr. Strangelove, the Dr. Strangelove-esque war room. Yeah. And they have all the little, like, UFOs on this map, yada, yada. And this is what he calls the president of France, who's about to be shot.
The president of France calls him.
Right. We've reached an accord. And he goes, no, get out of there. No. And then you just hear, and then you hear people being vaporized. And he's like, I've heard that sound too many times today.
Mon Dieu. They try to nuke the aliens.
Yes, they do. They launched a nuke at the alien ship, but they intercepted with some sort of balloon.
This is the stupidest Pee Wee Herman-esque joke in the whole thing. It explodes, and this little guy sucks up the explosion, and then he takes a hit off it like it's a helium balloon.
That's the best I can do with that.
Actually, that took I think there's a deeper meaning behind this, and I could say this because I've had 3 vodka cranberries, but I think that scene where he just inhales the balloon is a deep troubling into majority of people who are addicted to snippets, which is
Whippets.
Sorry, that's a snippet.
To Clippy, the Microsoft Word.
Oh boy! There's a whole bunch of scenes of destruction in this movie.
I mean, none of this matters. Like at one point,
well, I mean, around this time is when Jack Nicholson's developer, Las Vegas developer, gets killed. Yeah.
In a great scene. This was practical effects. Apparently, that building was set to be demolished, and so they actually filmed that building really blowing up. That's why it looks so good.
Oh wow! Okay.
So he's pitching to these people like these. It's a scene out of like Naked Gun where there's just random Arab investors, right?
That's how you get your money.
You want a big stupid building? You go to the UAE.
Which, by the way, I want to say that he said he would make their investment back in 5 months. Holy shit!
By the way, that's Fire Festival nonsense.
Yes, it is.
This guy's clearly a scam artist.
I liked Jack Nicholson's country accent in this.
Oh, I think him and possibly Martin Short are the only 2 people who realize what movie they're in.
Oh, Glenn Close is the best.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it to her. But they are those 3 then are actually like eating the scenery, and it's awesome.
Although the developer is just clearly imitating Beetlejuice. Up to and including the moment of death where he imitates his little dance that he does in Beetlejuice's commercial.
I will say, I don't know which role Michael Keaton was for, but you could convince me it was for that guy. He just wrote that, right? Like, does that make sense?
Well, anyway, I mean, we could describe the destruction that the Martians wreak on Earth scene by scene, up to and including where they get so bored by it, they switch over to a rerun of Dukes of Hazzard.
Well, I will say,
because they were actually watching TV.
Godzilla shows up, and it turns out they're just watching TV, which is it's joke. It's not joke.
On that Wicked Witch of the West crystal ball that they have on their ship.
Yeah, it's somewhere between Wicked Witch of the West and like a special effect from the Haunted Mansion. It's very cheesy.
I got the Power Rangers viewing globe back to
well, Zordon, the aliens are coming from Mars. That's Alpha 5.
I remember Alpha 5. Same guy who did the voice for Invader Zim later.
That was a
It
guy?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a girl. Oh God, they had a racist person where they was. Okay, I'm really into Power Rangers. So Power Rangers Turbo, which is I think
The next
one. And the next one, it was the third one before they went into space.
Right.
They had an Alpha 5 or Alpha 6's cousin, whatever. That went drastically. He was like, yo,
robot.
It was
robots have cousins.
yeah, had cousins. They was robot cousins. I think because Alpha 5 went out with Zordon or whatever to do some shit with Billy or whatever. And Alpha, if you look it up, Alpha 5 was like, yo, Tommy, this shit ain't cool.
Wow.
Do you remember that shit?
I do.
I do not remember that.
Look it up. Turbo, whatever.
It's been too long.
And they tried to appease to the urban culture or whatever. So
Let's
they
make Alpha 5 black.
Let's make Alpha 5 black. We make him have a hip.
That
Did
sounds
they
like-
lower him too?
Same height.
Nora, I apologize in advance, but that sounds like a UPN spin-off of Power Rangers.
It was. Because the Zordon was replaced with some black girl that floated in a tube, too. So this was Zordon's cousin's family.
Did anyone here see that movie that came out 3 years ago?
Oh no,
The Power
I saw
Rangers.
Elizabeth Banks and Brian Cranston as Zordon.
Yeah.
I saw that fan film with Katie Sackhoff.
Oh my
That was
god, that's
Good
awesome.
one. That was a good one.
And she's holding him and he's dying. Oh, that's so good.
Alpha 5 is voiced by Bill Hader in the new movies, the Power Ranger movies.
That's about right.
Yeah.
I will say, I watched. I know it's the wrong person, and it just triggered me. But I watched with my daughter Scoob, which is fine. It's nothing. It's nothing, but it's fine. However, Will Forte is in it as Shaggy, which is not fair because since the movie Scooby Doo, Matthew Lillard has done a great Shaggy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still alive, and it's an animated voice. Give it to Matthew Lillard. I don't know why they do the stunt casting with animated movies. Just get voice actors. No one cares if it's Rob Paulson. No kid is showing up because Will Forte is doing the voice
It's
of
more
Shaggy.
for us.
I'm Scoob. I'm sharing a voice with Abraham Lincoln.
Does he do a good job as Shaggy?
He does fine, but it just doesn't quite sound right. And again, Matthew Lillard nails it. Stay tuned for Scooby-Doo. We have to do it.
That is the only good part of that stupid movie.
Linda Cardellini as Velma.
I mean,
No.
she's fucking hot.
She's hot.
First of all, I'm down with Johnny Bravo. She's the hottest one of the bunch.
Yeah.
I mean, Shaggy's a close second, but still.
Wait a minute. Oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar?
Sarah Michelle Gellar is sleepwalking through that movie and is terrible. And Lena Cardellini is girl.
Freddie Prinze?
Freddie Prinze does not want to be in the movie. There's a difference.
I can see that.
And by the way, Puppy Power shows up at the end, and that is horseshit.
Oh.
Mr. Bean is in that movie too. Rowan Atkinson is in it.
Yes.
That movie had the best soundtrack. They had.
No, first of all, we did Space Jam together. Space Jam has the best soundtrack.
No, the Scooby Doo soundtrack had the best soundtrack because how you gonna get Outkast and not Sugar Hill Gang? What's the white? God, what's his name?
Vanilla Ice.
No, not Vanilla Ice. Oh my God,
Eminem?
Smash Mouth.
No, not Smash. The spiky hair. He was in the movie.
Smash Mouth.
No.
No, I know who you're talking about. Oh my God.
The
It's
white-
Savage
Mark
Gardens.
McGrath from
Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray. That's what it. How you gonna have an album with two of those?
Hey, first of all, Batman Forever has Kiss from a Rose.
Oh, yeah, never
Seal
mind,
shows
Seal.
up. R. Kelly and Seal are on Space Jam soundtrack.
Batman Forever also has U2 with that
Heroes.
Hold Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, Thrill Me.
Yeah, that's the one.
No, I still say the Scooby Doo soundtrack from the first movie a whole time.
I guess stay tuned because we have to do it this season
I
now,
have
and
to
you're going to be there,
Yeah.
and Daniel will not be. He'll just be on the couch yelling, "Boo!"
Yeah, pretty much.
You're just going to hear a beer bottle smashing. You go, "God damn it!" and just walks out of the room.
Can I go ahead and just pay for a new TV for you?
Yes, but also yes.
I happily will. If I break your TV during Scooby Doo, I will happily give you money for a new one. But
Oh, that's funny. Anyway, so Mars Attacks. Rewatching this, I understand why it freaked me out, but it's these scenes where just people are being vaporized willy-nilly. The skeleton effect is pretty good. The aliens are creepy.
it kind of reminded me of Return of the Living Dead. Has everybody seen that movie? Well, I mean, I expected that to be a comedy when I first saw it because, it was like, oh, it's the same co-writer of Night of the Living Dead writing this, and the guy who wrote Alien is directing it. And so I'm like, all right, this could be amusing. And it was just so much bleaker than I was expecting because absolutely everyone dies. There's like no hope whatsoever in that movie. And in this, there kind of sort of is. I mean, like, you get Tom Jones later, and him and Annette Bening, and Danny DeVito, and like one of his backup dancers, or one of Jim Brown's co-workers trying to skate through.
By going into a plot device from what is it? Is it 2012 where they end up in caves under the earth or whatever?
Now, what that place is it's a real place in Vegas. I think it's called like the Yard or something where they.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about the caves at the end. Yes, they're escaping through what looks like Goldeneye, where all the Lenin statues are. It's just a place where a bunch of defunct signs are, where like American Pickers or so it's essentially the setting of a show from a History Channel, where a bunch of rednecks look at garbage and say it's valuable.
Antique Roadshow.
Antiques Roadshow, but like classless.
Well, since we talked about that, there's two things that are my favorite about the Tom Jones, Jim Brown, Danny DeVito scene. It's where that too bit.
No, the backup dancers turn into aliens. So so this was the part of the show where aliens are just showing up on Earth.
Yeah.
And so you have these like ladies who are dancing behind Tom Jones as he's singing It's Not Unusual. And then there's a cut, and then there's aliens there instead.
The lights turn off, and then suddenly the backup dancers disappear, and then there's aliens just swaying their hips.
And what did he say? Like when he runs out and aliens, everybody gets killed except Tom Jones. But he's like, "Hey, there's Martians back there."
There's like Martian right behind me.
Really subtle.
And he's running through the chorus girls, and he's get out of here! There's aliens, and you're just like, okay,
yeah. But no, my favorite scene is like when he was like, "Hey, can you find a plane?" Of course I can. Like,
you got one? She does.
When Jim Brown fights aliens at boxing, that is my favorite.
Oh,
dude,
when he just boxes one.
He throws a right hook and smashes, and he goes. He's taking off his armor, and he's like, "Who wants to do a little rope-a-dope?" And the alien takes off its armor, and like they just start going at it. That is a scene and a half.
Well, the aliens, Jim Brown would have won if he didn't get like basically just power dogged on. So I think on 1-on-1 fight, Jim Brown wins.
Well,
he does win.
He still won.
Yeah, he does win. But like, you think he's spoiler alert. You think he's dead at the end?
Right.
Meaning he's just laying there.
Tom Jones flies a plane.
Well, right after that scene, if we'll skip ahead a little bit, is the scene with Lucas Haas going to pick up Grandma from the old folks' home.
It's true.
And
how do you kill aliens, man?
Well, we're about to find out because after he escapes his family's trailer, where
they get smashed by,
which is picked up by like this giant transformazoid kind of guy.
Also, they advertise that Christina Applegate is in this movie during the credits, and she's in one scene where she's having sex with her boyfriend in the neighborhood.
She's at the bus stop.
I think that's Jack Black's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Also, again, in a scene from Independence Day, right? Because it's Quaid. Quaid lives in a trailer park along with his kids, too.
But these are like 1960s trailers, so they're all tiny. And
it's Tim Burton, so you don't know what the fuck decade it is.
Right.
It's like Batman Returns. You don't know what decade anything ever takes place in.
Either way, after he flees to go get Grandma, that giant robot that's controlled by the Martian shows up and like smashes two trailers together and kills his parents.
And Christina Applegate.
And Christina Applegate's killed with the Martians watching.
With the perv aliens.
Yes.
Who are fogging up their masks.
Who was the mother? I kept thinking that was like Kathy. Not Kathy.
No, that's Olan Jones. That's who was in Edward Scissorhands. She was the.
No, not the grandma.
No, the grandma. I'm talking about the
Richie's mom.
Right.
Right, that's Olan Jones.
Okay.
She was in Edward Scissorhands. She was the bartender in the Truman Show.
Yeah.
At the Truman themed restaurant. She was in Natural Born Killers as another
Truman
waitress.
Show is another one we've talked about for years. If you want us to do Truman Show, send us a message because we've been talking about it for a long time.
It's a good movie. I think she retired like around the early 2000s, but she was there because she'd been in other Tim Burton movies, right? So that's who that was. But anyway, she and her husband Joe Don Baker died.
They died. They're heavily armed like good Americans, I guess.
They're firing shotguns in their own trailer, and that doesn't work. So
and they kill immediately because the guns don't matter in this world.
Right.
and the trailer's dropped, and then the giant, robot things and mech suit starts chasing Richie on the way to the old folks' home. At this point, the aliens are going the Martians. I keep saying aliens. Martians are going room to room, killing everyone in their rooms. And they have this giant cartoon gun that they're like, let's use this on Granny.
While Granny is listening to a record with
on some like great old like Sony cans. And then when they pull her back, the headphones come out, plays on her speakers, and their heads just explode.
Yep.
So is it country music or yodeling?
I think it's supposed to be the pitch of the music.
It's Slim Whitman is who that guy is singing. But he was a country singer, and I think it's the pitch, though, that is what blows the aliens' brains up.
But we don't care. It's just they just keep playing the same song forever, which is it's great. I don't know. It's funny. Like the robot trips into some electrical cables. I mean, you said this movie was funny as hell. Like this is where a lot of the comedy comes from because it's nonsense. At this point, the president is also killed by an alien,
as well as Rod Steiger after he's shrunk and stepped on.
And the president gives this impassioned speech about why can't we all just get along? A tear runs down the alien's cheek.
Which is a weird thing to say given the origin of that phrase.
It is.
Give me a history lesson. What's the origin?
Rodney King says
Rodney King said that.
Will? I feel shamed.
Yeah, Rodney King, after he's eating the crap beaten out of him, says, why can't we all just get along? Which ends up being a joke in also a Zucker Abrams Zucker movie as well. It's weird. It's all weird.
90s were a great, mysterious time.
Yeah. Comedy thought it was past racism. It was wrong.
What's wrong?
But like, and then the alien cries a little and then kills him with that weird handshake. He does a handshake, the hand comes out. It's essentially the same. It's like, God, it's that bit from The Simpsons where they have a special effects artist guy goes to the
Tom Savini?
Tom Savini goes to the android's dungeon and the comic book guy has a heart attack. But that's what it is. It's a Tom Savini bit where the hand walks behind him and then gores him through the stomach.
Yeah, it's connected to this like wire that's really a flagpole. So it gores Nicholson and then it unfurls into the Martian flag.
Right. At this point, the only American left who can fight is a redneck listening to Slim Whitman.
And it works because they are playing the song in his pickup truck, and then they go to the radio station and broadcast it all over, I guess.
Oh,
What technical skills does he have to know to do that worldwide?
Art Bell is furious because the deep state has taken over his radio station somewhere in Pahrump, Nevada. But yeah, I mean, and then on the corpse of the Capitol building, now President Natalie Portman, Taffy Gale.
Is that go to what?
No, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
Is she president now? Was that the thing?
There's some weird Secretary of Education somewhere in like a 7-Eleven when all this goes down, who's now the President of the United States. But whatever, she gives them, Grandma and the kid, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
And Grandma hates mariachi bands, which apparently because the U.S. Army Navy band was destroyed, that's all they have to perform the national anthem.
I don't know whose note that was, but that's the worst joke in the movie.
Well, Grandma does have the best line in that maybe when she gets the Medal of Freedom. And like that, well, thank you for your service. She's like, you're welcome. Make sure that doesn't happen again.
Don't you ever let this happen again.
Also, she hates mariachi music, which is funny. I also like how Richie or whatever gives a speech.
Best speech ever.
Yeah, about how we should all live in teepees.
Instead of houses, and it just goes on and on and on and on. I don't know why in this 100-minute movie they decided to give 10 minutes of this kid's stupid speech.
It wasn't 10 minutes.
It was a minute or so, but it did
it's
drag
stupid
along.
as hell. I want the cameras, even though everyone on Earth is dead, to be like, this is boring. Let's cut to a commercial. Like it was.
Let's cut to Jim Brown coming back home and stepping on an alien corpse's brain,
and it explodes. And like. The like a wall has fallen on this condo building, and so she's just sweeping out debris into the street.
Oh, it's a Jacques Tati scene is what's going on, and I'm looking at Jeremy now, and
I mean, or a Wes Anderson scene, right, where you can see inside the house from the side.
Yeah.
or Rome Open City. What? You can pick your fucking poison. I don't care.
I was expecting Jeremy to chuckle more at that, but apparently I'm too lowbrow.
No, that's right.
I want a sequel to this movie. Just
Jupiter attacks.
just to see how people are living now.
Well, in the original card series, what happens is apparently the humans counterattack and go to Mars and just really fuck shit up.
See, I would love to see that.
I mean, I'm down.
It's never going to happen because this movie didn't make any money, but
I mean, I would have rather a sequel to this than Independence Day, because that Independence Day sequel's been terrible. And I'm sorry, I love Independence Day, but only for a camp reason. It's not a great movie. It's just a fun movie. And everything he's made since then has been terrible.
Big Fish.
oh, Roland
No,
Emmerich.
Roland
Emmerich. Oh, okay.
Day After Tomorrow's not bad.
But I mean, I love Tim Burton. And first of all, Big Fish is one of the best movies he's ever done. I think it's a masterpiece. I would have rather a sequel to this than Independence Day 2.
Yeah.
I mean, every day of the Ding Dong Week. So, but final thoughts. Nora, what do you got?
You know, I laughed. This movie came out, and I probably watched it a million times.
Have you seen this movie?
I've seen it before, and then rewatching it again this week, I laughed a whole lot more because, and I was surprised a lot more with the movie cameras and like that. The only annoying part was the aliens speaking, but at the same time, that was like the most hilarious part to me. So I really enjoyed this movie. Well said.
When I was a kid and saw this movie for the first time, it scared the hell out of me.
Really?
Oh yeah, big time. It gave me nightmares and shit. But then again, so did Gremlins. So
The aliens specifically gave you nightmares?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Well, that and their weapons. I remember once where they shot me in my dreams. But anyway, that could be a folk
Independence Day
song.
freaked me out too, so I'm with you.
Anyway, though, watching it now, frankly, when I was a kid, Independence Day was my favorite movie. Like when I was a real little kid, like 9, because, 9-year-olds don't necessarily have the best taste. But watching this now, I think it's better than Independence Day. It's funny, it's more poignant, it's more reflective on how I think, and even the aliens and their speech is just hilarious. I think it's, I mean, it's kind of cheesy. If you don't really understand the in-jokes around 50s sci-fi, you're not really going to get a lot out of this. So you may want to skip it, but if you're into this sort of thing, yeah, you'll probably have a good time. So go check it out whenever it's on a random streaming service.
So there was a lot of talk of comparison to this and Independence Day, but because they're both in '96. But I want to give a shout out to The Arrival. Independence Day was the big blockbuster. Mars Attacks was the comedy, and The Arrival was the hard sci-fi version of the Alien movie. And Mars Attacks, for me, by far the worst of the three. It's intended as a comedy, but I found everything underwhelming. Like, those other two aren't comedies, but have comedic moments that succeed far more. I don't know. It just strangely felt uninspired for a Tim Burton movie. Like, I saw it when it came out in '96, was underwhelmed then, and felt the exact same way now. It's just, I don't know. He just swung and missed for me.
Yeah, I'm going to be agreeing more with Jeremy here. Like, when I first saw it, it freaked me out, fine. But, like, upon rewatch, it's funny because it's the first one chronologically that really disappointed me of his. Because, like, before this is, Ed Wood, Batman and Batman, Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, all great films. Now, after this, I liked Sleepy Hollow. I did not like Planet of the Apes.
Oh, that was terrible.
Right. And then,
Yeah, that's no good.
but I mean, Big Fish kind of comes back. Corpse Bride, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Alice in Wonderland,
The first one, at least.
I like Sweeney Todd and I liked Dark Shadows, okay? But, like,
Ooh, Dark Shadows was bad.
see, I thought it was fine.
I'll go to bat for Dark Shadows.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, but I will say, after this, he becomes much less consistent. It's just that this was the first one that I realized, he doesn't just make great movies. Because, like, for me, it's all about the aesthetic. This has an aesthetic. It just doesn't feel like it moves like a Tim Burton movie. Tim Burton movies are generally pretty, like, flowy, pretty light. This movie just, like, let's get 7 plot lines together, and then it feels like it drags, right? Batman never drags. Edward Scissorhand never drags. This, whether it's better than Independence Day, I think whether or not it's better than Independence Day, I'd rather rewatch Independence Day than this. And on next 4th of July, Independence Day is coming back on. I don't know when this is going to come back on, even if I enjoyed it. And I did find it funny at times. I just can't think of a reason to rewatch this. However, we're out of time. Thanks for listening to Myopia Movies. I'm going to take a pee break and then record another episode. So thanks, guys.
Myopia Movies is produced by Nick Hoffmann and Daniel Settis. It is hosted by Nick Hoffmann and Daniel Settis. Mission Briefing is hosted by John Copsey. Podcasts are edited by Daniel Settis, and Patreon is edited by Nick Hoffmann. Our engineer is Nick Hoffmann. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license.